For many football stars, playing in the English Premier League is the dream. The pay is bigger and better, and the league is arguably the most competitive. In the same vein, most players from the England squad consider playing for their country to be the highest honour there is. Not only do they get to play in a star-studded side, but they also get to be regular favourites for every tournament they participate in, not to mention the English hype, which could potentially improve your career prospects significantly. However, for every dozen players who declare for the Three Lions and hope and pray to be picked for the next squad, there are several more who would rather be guaranteed starters in other national teams. This video is about those who chose to represent a different flag. Xabi Alonso's invincible Leverkusen team was defeated by Atalanta in the Europa League final. But that's just the result. The real giant killer was Nigeria's Ademola Lookman. The forward wasn't always prolific though. His time in the Premier League was underwhelming. Between 2017 and 2022, he played for 3 different teams, including Everton, Fulham and Leicester City, racking up 96 appearances and scoring 11 goals. Those are hardly promising numbers, so no one was exactly losing sleep when he never made Gareth Southgate's squad during that time. However, since moving to the Serie A, his outputs improved dramatically, scoring 24 goals in 62 outings for Atalanta from 2022 to date. This form might make people ask if he can still be added to the England team, if even as a squad player. But that ship has sailed. Despite representing England at the under-19, under-20 and under-21 levels, he now plays for his country of descent, Nigeria, even participating and shining in the recent AFCON tournament. But Lookman's heart wasn't always with the Super Eagles. In fact, despite being courted by the Nigeria Football Federation since 2017, he rejected switching allegiances 3 times. When it was clear his performances were hardly convincing for the Three Lions, he put in a formal request to FIFA and was given the green light to join Nigeria. He debuted for the Super Eagles in the 2022 World Cup qualifiers. Bayern Munich are mostly known as a German champion that maintains its consistent success by poaching the best players from their league rivals. In other leagues, rivals are usually unwilling to trade players, and some rarely sell to each other, like Real Madrid and Barcelona, or Manchester United and Liverpool. However, Bayern doesn't seem to have that problem. As much as that helps them continue to break records and consistently outclass the rest of the league, it's also made their academy products take a back seat for more established players. Thomas Müller is one of the few surviving names of the Bayern youth system who are still playing on the team. However, the arrival of Jamal Musiala changed that. Musiala is that random FIFA regen that spawns when a legendary player retires. He features all the best traits at an insanely early age. At only 17, he broke into the first team and became a regular. Despite playing for both England and Germany at youth level, he now plies his trade with the German senior squad. But unlike Lookman, who was unwanted by England, there was more than one team fighting over Musiala's allegiance, like Germany, Nigeria, England, and even Poland. His mother is Polish, while his father is British-Nigerian, but Musiala himself has German citizenship because he was born in Stuttgart. Musiala eventually put the entire drama to rest in 2011 by declaring for Germany. When asked about his choice, he simply said, "I just listened to the feeling that over a long period kept telling me that it was the right decision to play for Germany, the land I was born in." With a relative like the legendary JJ Okocha, much was expected of Alex Iwobi. However, he's not been spellbinding by any means. Not that he's been horrible either. Iwobi, much like his fellow compatriot Lookman, was never quite in demand by the Three Lions. Despite being born in Lagos, Nigeria, he grew up in London. That's how he got to come up through the Arsenal Academy and play for the Gunners. During his youth years, he played for the England under-16s and even won the Victory Shield. But unlike Lookman, Iwobi didn't keep hope of being capped for England. So, in 2015, he declared for Nigeria and has played for the Super Eagles ever since. When asked about his decision, his answer was like Musiala's. "My family are all from Nigeria. I was born in Nigeria. My uncle JJ Okocha is a legend in Nigeria. So I made that decision to switch." West Ham's stout forward, Michail Antonio, has had a rather head-scratching career at the international level. Born to Jamaican parents in London, Antonio had the luxury of either declaring his place of descent or birth. In 2016, he seemed to have come to a decision when he turned down Jamaica in hopes of getting capped by the Three Lions. His dreams came true when he was called up later that year to play in the World Cup qualifiers. However, he mostly warmed the bench and never played. The following year was much of the same. He got called up, but injuries meant he had to withdraw from the squad. By 2021, Antonio's time with the Three Lions was over, with the West Ham man outshone by more consistent forwards like Callum Wilson and Ivan Toney. Without any playing time for England, Antonio turned his sights back to the motherland. Jamaica approached him in February of that year, and he was all too glad to help the Caribbean nation prepare for the 2022 World Cup. He soon declared his change of allegiances and started processing a Jamaican passport. So, cue everyone's surprise when all the hype ended with Antonio not even making Jamaica's 19-man shortlist for the competition. Rumours started to swirl that the forward was still holding back in hopes that he might get called up by England. That didn't happen. So, 3 months later, he was part of the 60-man squad to represent Jamaica at the 2021 CONCACAF Gold Cup. But the drama was far from over. When the squad was whittled down to 23 players, Antonio failed to cut yet again. It was still his fault too, because he had yet to secure a Jamaican passport, meaning he was still eligible for England. By August, he tried to get into the squad again for the World Cup qualifiers after securing his passport, which he finally did. However, for the third time, he failed to meet up with the team in Mexico for the first game due to travel restrictions. It wasn't until September that he finally got to wear Jamaican colours against Panama. At that point, he was already 31, so there's not exactly a lot left in the tank at the international level for him. Wales, Gulf, Madrid, in that order. For a player stuck in defence of a trophy-averse team, Gareth Bale went on to have an illustrious career before bowing out of the beautiful game. His explosive pace, flair and finishing made him one of the most lethal wingers in world football, next to Cristiano Ronaldo and Karim Benzema. That sheer talent would have made him a regular in the England team, but Bale was never interested. He was proud of his Welsh heritage and wanted to represent no other flag. His agent, Jonathan Barnett, once brought up the idea, and the ex-Los Blancos winger threatened to change management. Bale's reply was, "Never say that again if you want to be my agent." He began representing his country from the under-17 team, then the under-19s and under-21s, before making the senior squad in 2006. He earned 111 caps and scored 41 goals. He ended his career as captain of the Welsh senior team and led them to one of their best performances, third runners-up in the 2016 Euros. Scott McTominay. Anyone who's seen the Scotsman's aggression, clutch goals for club and country, and poaching instincts in the opposition box knows too well that he should be playing higher up the pitch. Besides his duality in both attack and defence, McTominay was also eligible to play for both Scotland and England. His parents are Scottish, but he was born in England, which gave him ties to both nations. Given his meteoric rise in 2017, McTominay looked like another talent the Three Lions were going to try to poach from their neighbours. However, England have rarely been short of midfield talent, so they seemed hesitant to cap the United man. Jose Mourinho, the then coach at United and an avid fan of the Scotsman, advised him to play for the blue and white flag instead. Mourinho even went as far as contacting the Scotland manager to give McTominay a call and cap him. A month later, the United youngster was playing for Scotland. After his debut, there was no turning back. In his words, "I wanted to play for Scotland, and I always have since I was a young boy, and it was an incredibly proud moment for me when the coach called me up, and hopefully I can kick on and do well." He has. To date, McTominay remains one of the most important figures on and off the pitch for Scotland. If you've ever seen Matty Cash in a Poland shirt and thought to yourself, "That can't be right," you'd be wrong. Despite having the name of an English bloke you'd find at your local pub and being born in England, Cash plays for Poland. He can do that thanks to his mother, who's Polish. Much like most of the players on this list, Cash decided he'd much rather play for a team where he had more chances of playing. So in 2021 he declared for Poland and was called up in November. He debuted in the World Cup qualifiers against Andorra. Take a lesson, Antonio. That's how you do it. Remember that Manchester United youngster who flopped harder than Makeda before joining Real Sociedad? The man has 23 goals across all clubs and competitions he's played for from 2013 to date. He's a winger. If it wasn't already clear, numbers like that make you wonder how he isn't already playing in the Chinese Super League. Anyway, when he wasn't flopping everywhere he went, Adnan Januzaj had a real conundrum on his hands. You think Musiala had a nightmare? Take a seat. Januzaj was eligible for 6 countries, including Belgium, Croatia, Turkey, Kosovo, Albania, and Serbia. Kosovo wasn't a FIFA-recognized team at the time, so he couldn't represent them. His father also ruled out ties to Croatia, Turkey, and Serbia. Albania was a genuine option because his parents were Kosovar Albanian and wanted him to represent one of both countries. At the same time, Januzaj had been at the Manchester Academy since leaving Anderlecht and could get English citizenship through naturalization. The England FA considered it and was willing to debut the youngster, but he wasn't interested and declared for Belgium instead in 2014. That same year, he debuted in the World Cup match against Brazil. As far as careers go, Wilfried Zaha's has been rather underwhelming. Ever since leaving Manchester United for Crystal Palace, it was clear that he was a big fish in a small pond. So, in every other transfer window, he was linked with big money moves but never quite made the jump. In the end, he left Crystal Palace for Turkey in his 30s, a player that could have been more. But this video isn't about what could have been but what is. That's why Zaha's played for Ivory Coast since 2016. He's an Ivorian by birth and descent, but English by naturalization, having moved to England when he was just 4. So, he was eligible to play for both nations and waited for an England call-up. Before then, he played at the under-19 and under-21 levels for the Three Lions and got his senior cap for England thanks to former Crystal Palace manager Roy Hodgson. However, his time at the national side wasn't for competitive events, so he asked to switch allegiances in 2016. Since then, he's competed in 3 international tournaments for Côte d'Ivoire. The last thing anyone needs is England fielding Erling Haaland at the front of an already stacked squad. But that could have very much been the reality at some point. Haaland's parents might be Norwegian, but he was born in Leeds, England, where his father played for the Peacocks in the early 2000s. This gives the Manchester City forward 2 options, but we all know the one he's decided on: Norway. Perhaps if he'd picked the Three Lions, it may just come home. But he didn't care, and we can't say we blame him. It can be a bit much playing for England. Who do you think made the right decision by not playing for the Three Lions? Let us know below and don't forget to like the video.